So, Baba talks about the lock and the key, and what is there inside the lock. Inside the lock, there are all the treasures that Baba has given us. So, earlier we did not have treasures, no knowledge, no virtues, no powers. But when Baba comes, Baba gives us these treasures. And yesterday I was talking to somebody and telling them that, that person was telling me that my problem is I'm very inquisitive. And he was telling me that, brother, that I keep reading and keep trying to gather knowledge about any subject that comes to my attention. So he told me, let's say I have to hire somebody to do coding for me. So before hiring that person, I go into all the details of coding. And then what happens is my mind becomes very consumed with it. And my primary focus should be on my department. But whenever I have to employ other people, I start thinking about their expertise, and I also start, trying to get that knowledge. And then he kept saying knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. And then I told him that according to us, there is only one kind of knowledge, which is the knowledge of the soul, the knowledge of God, and the knowledge of time. And everything else in the world doesn't qualify as knowledge. So he said, but why? So I told him that, you see, in the world, the more you know, the more anxious you are. Yes, and knowledge is a treasure. So knowledge should make you happy and content and make you in control. But worldly knowledge is such that the more you know, so the knowledge of the world is primarily the knowledge of 5 elements and their interaction with each other. And when you know too much about something you can't control, the only effect of it is anxiety. So the more you know, the more anxious you are, because the 5 elements are not in your control. They will move according to drama. Yes, you know too much about the body. What happens then? Wouldn't you fall ill? The body will fall sick whenever it has to. And then what? You keep analyzing, you keep thinking 30,000 thoughts about how many kinds of illnesses you can have and what this illness can do. And then what? You get more anxious. And that is why, Baba says, I give you the treasure of knowledge. And in the world, people have knowledge, worldly knowledge, knowledge of matter, knowledge of material stuff, knowledge of the material world. But then that knowledge is not a treasure. That knowledge is a cause of anxiety. And that is why in the world it is said, ignorance is bliss. Yes, why would ignorance be bliss if knowledge was knowledge? So knowledge is not knowledge. Knowledge is just, making you feel more out of control, making you have more reasons to be afraid and threatened and disturbed. And that is why ignorance is bliss in the world. But Baba says, no, knowledge is the greatest treasure. Ignorance is not bliss. The more you know, the knowledge that Baba tells us, that knowledge is like a treasure and it fills us. And the first treasure is knowing yourself. And you see that knowing yourself makes you so much, this sense of identity in this world where identity crisis is the norm. The only person who can have a sense of identity is somebody who knows that I am a soul, somebody who realizes that I am a soul. And you see, when children come for the course, then the first thing that we ask them is, who are you? And then everybody says that, I am the name, the address, or the body that I'm sitting in. That is my introduction. And then I ask them that if somebody knows your name, somebody knows your address, somebody knows your occupation, then do they know you? And then they say no. Then the next question is, then what is you, or who is you? Then they say it's my nature, my habits, my likes, dislikes, my personality traits, my tendencies. Now then the next question arises, is there any aspect of your personality? Is there any habit? Is there any trait which is constant in you? Yes, if somebody tells I'm kind and compassionate, then the question is, are you always kind and compassionate? Then they say no. So the thing is, when we have, when we know that that is the true me, my nature, my sanskars, that is me. But when that nature and those sanskars are so unstable all the time, that is why we start looking for an introduction of ourselves which is relatively stable. Because you see, my inner world in Ravan Rajya becomes so unstable that we lose faith in ourselves. Right? One moment you are happy, second moment you are in depression. And then what happens is, you don't know whether you're depressed or you're happy, whether you're a happy person or a sad person, you don't know. Because one moment you're like dancing in joy and celebrating life, and then second moment you are shutting yourself in a room and just want to cut yourself out and be in your sadness. And this is why you see so much fluctuation inside, that a person says, okay, if I search for my identity inside, then it's becoming very difficult because I have no stability inside. So then they think, at least my job is more permanent in nature. At least the house I have built is more permanent in nature. At least this body is more permanent in nature. And then you start thinking that this is my identity. You start defining yourself like that. But the problem is, eventually you realize that the external world is completely out of your control. Yes, so instead of saying, I'm a happy person, people choose to say, I'm a healthy person. Because they think the physical health is more certain than the happiness inside. But then what happens is, sooner rather than later you realize that the physical health is also very uncertain. And then what happens is you go into greater identity crisis. Because A, you have no foundation of inner strength, and B, the foundation that you were anchoring on to, that is so unstable that you start having identity crisis every second moment. Yes, people are looking for identities in relationships. I'm a mother, I remember there was one brother, and he said that although I have been running my business since the age of 20, I never thought that that was my identity. And when I was 45 years of age, my business almost collapsed. But Didi, I was not disturbed even this bit. Why? Because I always thought that my family is my identity. And my 3 children are who mattered to me. And then he said that when my business collapsed, I thought, no problem. My 3 children are with me, my wife is with me, and everything is good. And I will build the business again. And I did. In a matter of 2 years, I got the business running again. But then last year, I went into severe depression. And you know why, Didi? Because my elder son, he chose to stay out of the house. He had no business staying out. But he said, I don't want to live in this house. I want to go out. And that just shattered me. Because I thought all my life you were my asset. And today you don't want to be with me. And what kind of, and he said that I have spent, even while running a full-time business, I have always tried to spend 2 hours every day with my children. And still, when my child made that choice, it shattered me. And now I'm not interested in anything. I don't know who I am. I'm going through deep identity crisis. So you see, people are looking for their identity in relationships, in health, in business, in property, in what they have and what they do, in work. But then slowly, gradually, you realize that all of that is also very unstable. And then Baba comes and Baba says that it is not by running away because there was instability inside, you ran away from it, and then you chose to have an external identity and you thought that that is my primary identity. But now come back to who you really are. And Baba says that distinguish between the original you and the acquired you. And then understand that you are just a knowledgeful, pure, peaceful, loveful, blissful point of light. And you draw energy from me and build the original you. Build your Swaman, build your sense or reclaim your sense of who you are. And then when you have very, too much stability inside, then you will live in this world, but your identity will be detached from what you have and what you do. And you see, I have been in Gyan for some time now, and it is my experience that the more you draw power from Baba, draw light, draw virtues from Baba, and you start reclaiming your original, peaceful, powerful, loveful, beautiful self, and you keep it intact. And it's very important to keep it intact because sometimes, you have yoga with Baba in the morning and then you are in a very good state. But then you speak one wrong word. One extra word, not even wrong, one extra word you speak. One word that's wasteful, unnecessary. And then all your sense of, I'm worthy is lost. So I have felt that, in this in this journey, that the more you build your inner self and the more you take care to not do anything against your original nature during the whole day. So just building your inner self or cultivating your virtues, or filling yourself with Baba's light, that is the primary thing, foundational thing. But then all through the day, paying attention that I do as I am. I do not think, speak, or act under the influence of other people's behaviors or other situations. And when you take care to do that, slowly, gradually, you develop a lot of swaman, a lot of self-confidence. And then you live in the world, but then nothing of the world will disturb you, because it is not a part of who you are. The house is there, the job is there, the relationships are there, the body is there, but it doesn't define you. And the problem is not loss and gain. The problem is, when you gain, you build your identity. When you lose your identity, right? So everything that's a crisis out there was becoming an identity crisis, because I had no identity of my own and I was depending on these things. But the more you build your inner self and the more you become, full inside, then everything will be there, but it will not be a question of identity crisis for you. And then Baba says that this is a treasure. This knowledge of who you are and who you belong to, and how you can take power from Baba and go back to your original self. This knowledge is a big treasure. But then you have to, this treasure is inside a lock. And what is the key to that lock? So, sometimes Baba's children, Brahmin children, they use a very interesting expression. I know everything, but I do the complete opposite. Yes, so you tell them, but you are a peaceful soul. Why did you speak peacelessly to somebody? Then they would say, I know I'm a peaceful soul, but then, I couldn't behave peacefully. Now, why does that happen? Because you know a lot, you know who you are, you know who you belong to. You know that Baba's treasures are one thought away. Have you experimented with this? That it takes just 10 seconds to recharge yourself. Just unplug your attention from everywhere, take it to Baba, and feel that you are drawing the light and might from Baba. And again, you will become grounded, is it not? You know this, and this is huge. It's a big treasure. But then, to remember that it can only happen in 10 seconds, that is the key. So, sometimes you are spending 2 hours, 3 hours in a disturbed, in a sad, or in a disappointed state. And then you don't remember that my thought and my feelings are my creation. And as soon as I remember Baba, I will draw Baba's energy and I will be in a different state. So Baba says, I have given you this treasure of knowledge. And this treasure of knowledge is power, And the biggest power is taking power from Baba. The biggest power is that you can connect to the powerhouse whenever you want. And Baba says that you have that knowledge, that just by unplugging your attention from everywhere around and taking it to Baba, you can fill yourself whenever and however much you want. But Baba says this treasure of knowledge, the knowledge of Raj Yoga, the knowledge of who am I, who do I belong to, this treasure has to be unlocked. And how do you unlock it? Through awareness. Yes, the moment you remember. So let's take another, understanding. How do you get disturbed? How do you get upset? How do you get fearful? How do you get disappointed? How do you feel all the negative feelings that you feel? Through awareness. Yes. If somebody is abusing you, but you are not aware of it, will you feel abused? But if somebody is, calling you names and you are aware of it, then you feel abused, is it not? So it's all about awareness. I remember there was this one Mata and she said, my husband has been cheating on me for the last 7 years and today I came to find out, and then I cannot live with him for another second. So I said, what is the problem? Is the problem cheating, or is the problem you knowing that he's cheating? So she said, the problem is cheating. So I said, but he's been cheating for 7 years and you've been living with him for 7 years. So that is not the problem. The problem is now you know, right? So the problem is always awareness. It is nothing that you don't know can disturb you. Nothing that is not in your awareness can disturb you. Yes, let's say you have had a very big loss also. But until you become aware of it, can you be disturbed by it? No. So the key to being disturbed is awareness. The key to being happy is also awareness. When you know too much about what's wrong, what's bad, what's not going according to you, then you are more and more disturbed. And I remember there was this one Mata, she told me a very good thing. She said, I am 85 years old. And she said, I do not have the stamina to shout at my servants now, because there is practically nobody living with me. I live with 2 servants and they do all the work. So she says, I have devised a plan. I live in the first floor, servants live in the ground floor, and they do whatever they can. And I never go to the ground floor and check. They just give me food on time. They do everything on time, and that's it. What they waste, what they break, what they steal, I never look at it. And then I told her, what is your logic for that? So she said, because the more you know, the more disturbed you are. Help you can't do anything, na? Because you have to keep those 2 people anyway. You can't survive without them. So then what do? Keep knowing more and keep getting disturbed more. So what I have stopped is knowing more. I'm not aware of whatever they do. And this is a very healthy thing for me. She said, if I am going to live up to 100, it will be just because of this one practice. And you see, I really love that, because if you see, the problem is not the problem. The awareness of the problem is the problem. And the more you pay attention to it, the bigger the problem becomes. The more you think about it, the more you spend your thoughts and energy on it, the bigger the problem becomes. And similarly, Baba says the solution is also awareness. Become aware of who you are and who you belong to. Become aware that your treasures are one thought away. Become aware that Baba is the powerhouse, giving you all the powers, all the treasures. And when you are in awareness of that, awareness of who you are When you are aware that you can put a full stop to your mind in 1 second, that's such a big treasure. Yes, when you know that there are 100 things going on around you, but if you don't think about it, they don't matter. If you know that you are the master of your mind and intellect, then you can always be happy. And the more you are aware of what is disturbing you, the more unhappy you are. So Baba says, I have given you the treasure of knowledge, and knowing that you are the master, when you don't think, it cannot matter to you. When you don't focus your attention, it can't disturb you. When you know these things, but you are not in awareness, then you can still get disturbed. But when you are in awareness of your treasure of knowledge, then nothing can affect you and you will always be happy. And you can talk about 100 points just from the knowledge of the soul. So, knowing that nobody can insult you, knowing that, how does anybody insult you? When you take their words and take it personally and start thinking that it is about me, it's not about them, it's about me, then you feel insulted. But when you understand that whatever the other person is saying is about them, not about me, then you can never feel insulted. So Baba says that just knowing that you are egoless, you are fearless, you are deathless, nobody can kill you, nobody can hurt you, nobody can insult you. If you don't think about that, if you don't take it personally, then this is such a huge power, and this is like the treasure of knowledge which can make you very happy, which can make you dance in joy all day, all night. But Baba says, keep this in your awareness. The awareness is the key. The problem is not what you know, the problem is what are you aware of. Yes, because there are a lot of treasures that are there inside the lock. But the key, that is awareness, if that key is not applied, then all the treasures are of no use. So you know a lot of things, but then you will be only able to do it or have the benefit of it or feel the power of it if you hold it in your awareness. And then second thing, you see, Baba has made us aware of our virtues. Yes. When you say this person is misbehaving or rude or indisciplined or unorganized, then what are you talking about? You're talking about the lack of virtues of the other soul. But the moment you start thinking about your own virtues, okay, that soul is indisciplined, fine, but I am a compassionate soul. I cannot criticize that soul. So, when you are aware of your virtue, then you will be happy. There is a very good saying, you can either be right or you can be happy. And the moment you start thinking about not who is right, who is wrong, what they are doing, what they are not doing, but the moment you start thinking about who am I, what are my virtues, you will always be happy. Yes, somebody is defaming you, somebody is, somebody's talking ill about you. No problem. That's not your quality. You cannot do the same thing. You are a person who blesses. You are a person full of good wishes and good feelings. So then, how does it matter what the other person is doing? But if you have forgotten yourself, then what they are doing is huge. So Baba says, hold in your awareness the knowledge that is so powerful in you, who you are, what are your powers, how you are the master of your mind and intellect, how you belong to Baba, and how Baba's virtues are yours. And second is, be aware of your virtues. Be aware of your powers, Don't talk about how many problems the other person is creating. Talk about your tolerance. Yes, somebody, if you keep saying lot of pain in the body, lot of pain in the body, this is aching, that is aching, then that will become a problem. But when you keep saying, I have a lot of tolerance, you don't talk about what's happening in the body. You are talking about your power of tolerance. I am a soul with unlimited power of tolerance. I am a soul with unlimited power to face. I am a soul with unlimited discernment. Sometimes people say everybody is cheating around me. And so I feel very afraid. I don't know who to trust. I don't know who to not trust. And then you have to, in that moment, remind yourself, what if everybody is cheating you? No problem. You have discernment. I have the power to discern. I have the power to decide. Why would I get cheated? I will gauge everything. I will move intuitively. I will be with Baba and take decisions. Yes, I remember there was one time when, there was this one person, and they did something which was of a nature of betrayal. And then I got very disheartened. It was many years back. I was very new in Gyan. And then I talked to Didi and I said, I don't have any faith anymore. And I feel like, it's a bad world and how can you trust people? And then Didi told me something very nice. Don't trust anybody, trust yourself. Trust that you have the discernment. Trust that when somebody comes to you, you will use the power of discernment, and then you will know how much and how to behave with that person. And you don't need to be losing faith or getting disheartened, and that's not how you move through life. And so Baba says these are treasures, and you have the power of discernment. Tell yourself that. You have the power to decide. Tell yourself that. You have the power to face. Tell yourself that. Don't tell yourself how many demanding and big situations are coming. Tell yourself that whatever is coming, I have the power to face. Because what you hold in your awareness will have power. If you hold your virtues, your powers in your awareness, you will be powerful. And if you hold the other person's nature or the problematic situations in your awareness, they will be powerful. So Baba says, I have given you so many treasures. See, when we came to Baba before that, we didn't even know that there is something called the power to tolerate, something called the power of love, something called the power of peace. We didn't even know this. We only thought about, happiness or temporary peace. We didn't know about, purity or, see, look at purity. You live in an impure world, and people say, in this impure world, obviously there'll be influence. But why do you tell yourself that? Why don't you tell yourself that in this impure world, you have a lot of power of purity? And even if you are in an environment where there is impurity, not by choice, but by chance, even if you are in that environment, no impurity can ever reach you. Have that confidence. Don't tell yourself this environment is such. Tell yourself, I am a pure soul. Yes, and I remember there was this one marriage which happened in my Lokik family when I came into Gyan, and I had to go to that marriage. And when I went there, everybody told me it's not easy, to maintain disciplines in this kind of a setting. And I told them, no, it's not difficult at all. It is very easy. And I kept telling myself that I don't have to mind what's around me. They are doing their thing. I know who I am. I know what I can do. I can cook 3 meals for myself. I can get up at Amrit Vela, and in the midst of noise also I can have yoga. And I kept telling myself what I can do, and I did it very smoothly in that time. But if you keep telling yourself, the environment is this, they are such, this is such, somebody is getting annoyed, somebody is getting disturbed, why are you holding that in your awareness? They are doing what they are capable of doing. Why is that a problem for you? Why are you minding it? You just hold your powers, your virtues, and the knowledge of you and Baba in your awareness. And Baba says, then you will always be happy, because happiness is the product of good karma. And Baba's child loses happiness only when they make mistakes. Other people lose happiness for many reasons, because they are agyanis. So their happiness and their loss of happiness is also coming from agyan. But Baba's children, we lose happiness only when we make mistakes. Is it not true? It is true. Our own thoughts, own words, own acts, only they make us lose happiness. Otherwise, nothing in the world can make you lose happiness, because anyways you don't have any attachment to anything. So Baba says, when you are always in awareness and you always do the good karma that Baba teaches you, your thought, word and act is pure and powerful and knowledgeful, you will never lose happiness. And you will be that epitome of an ever happy soul. And Baba says, when you are that person, then even in your idle state, when people worship you, they make your temples from the copper age, they will make your smiling faces all the time. And when bhagats go to the temples, they will see your face and they will forget their sorrow. Because you are the Chaitanya, the living deities who have created that state of ever happy, ever joyful in this Sangam Yuga. And when your images are created, those images will be a source of joy for everybody. And anybody who sees your images will forget their worries, their fears, their sorrow, and they will feel strength and happiness in your presence. Okay, Om Shanti.